Utah coach Kyle Whittingham had some interesting comments regarding conference realignment and the Holy War rivalry with BYU in a recent interview on an ESPN affiliate in Utah. Many BYU fans have taken exception to those comments. I'm going to share those comments with you and give you my thoughts on it right after this word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar and let me serve you up a shot of top-shelf college football content. On tap today at Couz's Corner, we are talking about the comments recently made by Kyle Whittingham, the head football coach over at Utah. He recently did an interview with Spence Checketts over on ESPN 700, which is an affiliate in Utah. He was asked about conference realignment, and then he was asked about the Holy War rivalry now being a conference game. There was a good article written about this over at Fan Nation, which is an SI affiliate. And I'm also going to leave, and I'm going to share that article with you and leave a link to it. And I'm also going to leave a link to the full interview with Spence Checketts, so you can listen to that after this show and get the full context. And once you do that, I want you to come back here, if you don't mind, and drop a comment and let me know what you think about the comments. And if you're a BYU or Utah fan who's already listened to the interview, leave your thoughts below. Let me know what you think about those comments from Kyle Whittingham. Were they disrespectful to BYU? Were they not? I want to hear your thoughts. First, I'm going to present the article to you. Then I'm going to show you some of the fan reactions on Twitter, and we're going to talk about that as well. First, here's the article over at Fan Nation, which is an affiliate of SI.com, written by Mr. Kevin Borba. Title of the article is Utah's Kyle Whittingham doubts that Holy War with BYU will be permanent, hints at more realignment. You would think that now that the Big 12 appears to be done with expansion, that there wouldn't be much more realignment talk with the season just days away, but here we are. Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham was asked about moving to the Big 12 and his thoughts on the rivalry game with BYU, the Holy War, becoming a, quote, permanent conference game. Something Whittingham made sure to address when chatting with ESPN Spence Checketts, explaining that realistically the landscape of college football is never permanent and that conference realignment could happen again. And here's the quote from Whittingham that everybody's up in arms about, or the BYU fans are up in arms about. Well, first of all, you use the word permanently, and I can say it's far from that. I think in 2 to 3, maybe 5 years on the outside, everything is going to change again. And so this may be just a quick couple of years of the game returning, and then everything is blown up again, and people go their separate ways, end quote. Earlier in the interview, Whittingham also expressed that he personally felt the rivalry doesn't have the same feel to it when the two teams aren't in the same conference. So, clearly, the coach who has been very public about believing college football is headed towards a couple of super conferences is not confident that the conferences as we see them right now and heading into next year will be the same. Now, this interview and that quote caused a lot of stir with BYU fans. Let's take a look at some comments on social media. First off, here's a tweet that was put out by Reddit College Football on their account, and they basically shared the quote. And then underneath that, there were some interesting comments. Nick Lee, a BYU fan, says, Utah still acting like it's too cool for the rivalry. BYU and Utah are now on an even field, broski. Can't big time us anymore. Then Ute Fanatic says, even playing field, LOL. Little trash talk between fan bases, right? Well, here is a quote tweet from a good friend of the show, Jeff Fuller, who I like. I respect Jeff and his work. As a matter of fact, he's a great follow on X, aka Twitter. I recommend you go follow him. He puts out a lot of good data about the Big 12 and just teams around college football. But anyway, Jeff, who's a BYU fan, requotes that and says, does he really feel the Big 10 wants Utah? What is going on with this quote? Or is he just really good at playing the cocky jerk role? Now, the reason Jeff commented about the Big 10 thing, a lot of people took that quote as Kyle Whittingham basically alluding to the fact that he thinks that Utah will be moving to the Big Ten in a few years. That's one way this quote has been interpreted by many BYU fans and even some non-BYU fans for that matter. Now, is that what Whittingham meant? I have no idea. I'm not inside his head, but I'll give you my opinion here in just a minute about all this. But right now, I just want to show you some more quotes. Then Jeff Fuller puts another tweet out there. No one is mad or shocked about his take on realignment, Larry, but he was asked about the Holy War, and he dismissively pivoted away from any BYU rivalry talk with a clear implication that it may only last a couple of years because Utah will be off to greener pastures. This just 2 short weeks after the Utes accepted the Big 12 lifeboat. That answer to that question in this circumstance is somewhere on the scale of, quote, tone deaf to, quote, cocky jerk. Then you go on down here to some other comments by you. Look at these comments by Utah fans. Gotta love when the half-share folks, referring to BYU, refer to the new additions as getting lifeboats when Yormark refers to getting them as his dream scenario and offered them full share. That's a Utah fan, but basically bragging that they're getting a full share of the first year in the conference when BYU's not. It's not exactly accurate because BYU's getting a little more than half, but I understand his point. Another Utah fan, it's not cool and it's not funny, says, lifeboat, really? More accurate description from the commish himself was, quote, dream scenario. You're welcome for making the conference better. And then another Utah fan, Brett Yormark has called Braden Shamo. Brett Yormark has multiple times called adding Utah, ASU, Arizona, Colorado his, quote, dream scenario. That's not how I'd describe a lifeboat, Jeff. Well, let me give you my comment, first of all, on the comments by these Utah fans, and then I'll get to the BYU fans and what I think there. When you look at these Utah fans, yes, it was a lifeboat. The Pac-12 was collapsing around you, Utah fans. The Big 12's first 2 choices were Colorado and Arizona. That's been made clear by multiple media reports, and I think even Brett Yormark alluded to it in an interview. They got Colorado. They wanted Arizona. And they would have been okay stopping there. Now, they might have went and tried to get UConn or Gonzaga or someone else for basketball potentially. But they were clear, hey, we would have been willing to stop at 14. We wanted all 4 schools, but Colorado and Arizona were our first 2 options. That we felt like they were the best fits. So to say that the Big 12 did not give you a lifeboat is just not accurate because they did. They saved you from a dying Pac-12. Now, conversely, yes, it was the dream scenario to get all 4 corner schools. But to say Utah was their dream scenario is just not accurate. The dream was to get all 4 of them because there's power in numbers in this case. You were able to add 4 Power 5 schools versus just 2. Does it mean Utah was a better option than Arizona or Colorado for the Big 12? Now, is Utah a better brand than Arizona and Colorado right now today? Absolutely they are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was the Big 12's number 1 choice for the schools, okay? Arizona and Colorado were the first 2 choices, and I think that's been made clear in multiple reports, okay? So, yes, the Big 12 did give Utah a lifeboat, but at the same time, Utah is also a valuable addition to the conference. Nobody's denying that. It can be both, folks. It doesn't have to be one or the other, okay? It can be both. So to say it wasn't a lifeboat, Utah fans, is just totally inaccurate. And to say that getting Utah was a dream scenario is really stretching, taking the remarks made by Brett Yormark and others and really putting it out of context, because the dream scenario was getting all 4 schools. That was the dream scenario, not just getting Utah. Now to get to the comments made by BYU fans and them being upset about these comments. I don't think Kyle Whittingham meant anything at all disrespectful with those comments. I'll be honest. I listened to the whole interview to get context before I did this video. And I don't think he was being disrespectful at all. He was talking about realignment earlier in the interview. So he still had that on his mind. As a matter of fact, I think the previous question, or at least a couple questions back, was regarding realignment. The majority of the interview had been spent talking about realignment. So, of course, it was on his mind. So when the word permanent came up, basically, Kyle Whittingham saying, no, I don't think this is permanent because I think more changes coming in a few years. And that's something Kyle Whittingham has said multiple times in multiple interviews. So that's not a big surprise that he said that. So he just wanted to make it clear, I don't think this is permanent. Because it likely won't be, because we likely both won't be in the same conference. Nowhere in that interview did he ever say anything about the Big Ten. So I think, in my opinion, with all due respect to my friend Jeff Fuller, who I like, I think it's a stretch for us to just assume that's what he was talking about. And I don't see why he would go out of his way to disrespect BYU, a school he graduated from. Now, we also have to understand, and I know some have been upset because he's a graduate of this school. You know, he needs to show love for this rivalry. I understand that. If I'm a West Virginia fan, if a coach made some kind of comment about my school, I'm going to be upset about it too because I'm a fan. That's why fan is short for fanatic. We get passionate about our teams. We defend our teams. That's what we're supposed to do, and that's what makes college football so awesome. So I think this is actually good for the sport, to be honest with you. All this attention, and it's going to be good for that game when it comes up in a couple of years, right, in the conference. But back to the comments by the BYU fans. I understand them being upset, but I don't think Kyle Whittingham meant anything disrespectful. And also, you have to understand, he's been coaching at Utah, whether it be as an assistant or the head coach, for 29 years, folks. He has spent more of his life at Utah than he did at BYU at this point. So how can you expect him to have more love for BYU than he does for Utah, the team he's been coaching for 29 years in some capacity? I don't know. I don't know how old Kyle Whittingham is. I think he's in his early 60s, maybe. So he spent almost half of his life at Utah, the University of Utah, as a coach. So it's not that weird to me that he's not going to jump up and down and scream about BYU. Yay, BYU, woo! We're glad to have him in the conference. And also, if you listen to the full interview, you'll hear at the end, he talked about how great that rivalry was for the state of Utah and how by them being in the same conference, the game meant more. You've got to use full context, BYU fans. Don't take one quote. Don't take just one quote and blow it out of proportion. Use the context of the entire interview. I'm not saying you still don't have a right to be upset about it, and maybe he could have worded it differently, in a different tone, whatever. That's fair to question that. But I really think a lot of these BYU fans are taking this out of context and are making it something it's really not. But, hey, it's great for the sport. It's great for us fans to talk about, and it will add passion. And after all, it's a rivalry game, man. And these rivalry games, these fans do not like each other. They do not like the other team to talk smack about each other. That's what it's all about. And once again, I'll go back to the fact that that's what makes this sport so freaking awesome. And that's why we all love it. And in 8 days, my team will be taking the field for the first time, and I can't freaking wait, okay? And I'm sure most of you feel the same way about your team's opening game here for the 2023 college football season. Let me know in the comments section, Couz's Corner family. What do you think about the comments made by Kyle Whittingham? I want to hear from everybody, West Virginia fans, all fans across the country. I want to hear your thoughts, but especially BYU and Utah fans. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm open to both. I want to hear if you disagree with me, come at me. I'm okay with that. If you agree with me, let me know. Also, guys, scrolling along the bottom of the screen, you'll see the names of my channel members. These are the pub level members, the introductory level members. It's $2.99 a month to join. You'll get your name listed on the bottom of every show. You'll get random member shout outs. You'll get access to some early content, access to contests that I do, those types of things. You get badges beside your name that will show up in chats on live streams, and that allows me to address your comments before other people. Also, there are club level members, which is level 2 of the Couz's Corner VIP Club. $4.99 a month. You get a few extra perks. You'll get some merch discounts available to you. You may get more entries into contests, things like that. Sometimes I'll give you even earlier access to some content and those types of things. So if you want to join one of these clubs, hit the join button right below, become a member of the Couz's Corner VIP Club. Also, if you want to support my channel other ways, you can leave a tip by hitting that heart with a $sign in it. That's a one-time donation. It really helps my channel out. You can check out my Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo links in the description. If you want to do it off of YouTube and do it that way, you can do that as well. Last but not least, you can support me here absolutely free by hitting the thumbs up button or the thumbs down button if you thought this video sucked. You can share this out with your family and friends. You can drop the comment below that I mentioned. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button. It might be red, it might be black, it might be white, depending on how you're watching this. Hit that button. Be sure to hit the bell to get notified of future videos and future live streams. All of that helps this channel, helps that algorithm, and helps grow this thing. With that being said, I really appreciate you tuning in to this episode. And until the next one, Q Country Roads.